That was helpful. That was very helpful. It was a wet and dark morning. The clouds over Gintoki were probably only drizzling, but without the sunlight, the mist in the forest of magic wasn't clearing out anytime soon. It was the kind of weather that no one really wanted to be alone in, including me. As I went about my morning routine, my eyes caught my notes. Patchouli had reminded me of something Ryunosuke had mentioned, specifically that a large amount of magical energy can change humans. I had proof of this every time I looked in the mirror. I hadn't been born with gold eyes, but I really didn't have a full understanding of the process. Too much poorly contained magic, of course, would cause me to explode, but there might be other dangers I didn't know about. I'd feel really stupid if I killed myself with a side effect of an immortality potion. Yeah, I could imagine so. I'm trying to make this shit to make myself immortal, and I get killed by it. That's always a fun thing. Still, I probably shouldn't worry too much. After all, a whole bunch of magicians had gotten through the process just fine. I take another look at the issue when I had the full recipe worked out. I grabbed a shawl, and my notes before heading out. Alice probably wouldn't mind the company today. The trek through the forest was a little slow today because of the fog, but the path was pretty familiar to me. Marissa, I was expecting to see you today. Hey Alice, the fog was bothering me, so I figured I'd drop by and borrow some of your tea. Of course. Still, I suppose it wouldn't hurt, and you did give me the bulk of the silk from the trip. Come on in. Alice led me into her kitchen. I took a longing glance at the library as we passed, but there was no real good way to get in there. Yet, still I had a suspicion that most of the stuff I was interested in wouldn't be written down. It seemed Alice had already kept a pot of water going, so we had 2 cups of tea ready soon after I sat down. So, why did you decide to drop by today? Mushroom hunting again? It was too gray, so I decided I'd visit. I see. We sat there a while waiting for the tea to cool. Our meeting in the library reminded me, how is your research into becoming a magician going? Pretty good actually. I'm doing pretty good actually, with Patchouli and Kokuma helping, and with information I've gotten out of Aaron, I'm pretty far along. Admittedly, a lot of it was based off my previous work. I complain about you getting so much help, but I admit to cheating a little myself. She glanced down at her grimoire as she said that. Once again, I really wondered what was in that tome. Sadly, the last time I looked, I'd been too weak to read any of it. Still, you said you're making a potion. I'm kind of curious. My ritual involved dolls. Oh, you want to take a look at it? Really? Yeah, sure thing. I tossed the notes onto the table. Alice and Shang had grabbed and held them up for her. Impressive. I didn't believe your notes would be this neat either. I'm full of surprises. No reason to tell her most of that was due to Kokuma's efforts. That's a lot of power in one little potion. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised though, since it's you, Marissa. Ah, that's right. I've been thinking about that earlier. Maybe Alice would know. Hey Alice, do you know the exact effects on a massive amount of magic on a human? Well, I know my eyes have changed colors over the years, and I know storing too much magic can overload a human. I'm curious if there's anything else. You didn't know? Wait, of course not. You were trained by a ghost. I should have realized you didn't do the eye thing for show. Active magic wants to be used. If you aren't using it for something, it tends to attempt to fulfill your desires blindly. And that usually goes unwary, which is why a proper witch always uses a spell to control their magic and use it immediately. That's casting 101. Right, but it can also happen with magic that's being used in a spell that hasn't been completed yet. I realized where she was going with this. Or when you're using raw magic as a catalyst like in the spell. Yeah. So how do you work around it? You work very hard at only desiring the spell you're casting. That doesn't seem all that helpful. Sorry, that's the best there is. Higher level magic is deeply tied to philosophy. For example, Byakuren Hidri only wrote one spell book. The rest of those works are all philosophy, both on magical and mundane matters. I see. Does that mean I can borrow them? Not a chance, Marissa. Dang, come on, Alice. I need some help here. Sorry, Marissa. I've given you the best advice out there already. I'm sure you've got the skills to succeed most of the way. Most of the way? Well, everyone messes up a little. Usually, it's harmless. Oh, then how'd you mess up? Well, I thought it would be cute to look more doll-like, and I ended up getting rid of all my skin blemishes and losing 3 centimeters. Huh? That's it? That doesn't sound too bad. Yes, that wasn't too bad. However, I could have done something stupid like turn my skin into porcelain. I shuddered at the thought. Then I shuddered again when I realized that with magic, she could have survived with that condition. But you're pretty single-minded, or so it seems. I think you do better than most just because what you want is immortality. Thanks, I guess. Though, to prepare myself mentally. I might actually make myself irresistibly attractive. Seems like you really lucked out yourself. Prepare mentally. I still think I want to prepare mentally. If you got in trouble, then I'm not taking any chances. It's good you're looking after yourself, even if your home is still probably an earthquake death trap. Hey, I leave the space around my bed clear. Sure. Anyway, if you need a book on meditation, I could let you borrow one. It's not much, but it's the best I can offer to help. Thanks, but I've borrowed some from Reimu already. I'll give those a look over. Alright, how's that doll armor coming along, Alice? It's performing well in all simulations. I think it may be immune to most attacks of low and mid level. In fact, now I'm back to work on the doll itself. You'll have to let me see it when it's done. But of course, you're first on the list after tests are complete. Yep, she was definitely going to use it against me. I always wondered why she didn't out and out say those things though. Magi has weird ideas about manners, or maybe it's just Alice. That's right, Marissa. What are you going to do after you become a magician? Well, you are going to live for centuries after all. Shouldn't you have a project to pass the time? I guess I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I suppose you don't need to figure it out right now, since you still have to master Shaichu, but it wouldn't hurt to put some thought into it. Abandoned temper magic. This is the spell that stops yokai magician from aging. So yeah, I talked about this back in my interesting toll facts. I think during, it was like 6 or 7, during like the whole fact about the magicians. So yeah, that should have been covered, but that was a long time ago though. That's true. You've got your doll research, and Patrick has her library. I thought on it for a bit. Maybe I could master Damaku. Of course, Marissa will pick something weird. Seriously, how much is there to learn about Damaku? It's not even a proper series of spells, just a template you place over your own spell. Hey, there's a lot more to Damaku than that. It's almost a ritual in itself. Whatever you say, Marissa. I frowned. How could someone who is so good at Damaku not understand it? Maybe when you understand, you'll be able to beat me. I've beaten you already this month. Damn, she's right. Gotcha! I need to get back in shape. 2 months and all my skills are gone. Next, I'll get beaten by that ice fairy. I would hope you consider me above her level at least. At least 1 level above. 1 level? Hey, it's not like we would have powered levels around here. What scale am I supposed to use? A fair point. Well, I should probably get back to constructing my doll, and you apparently should get back in fighting trim. You never know when an incident might come about. I suppose that's true. Well, I'll see you later, Alice. I stood up and retrieved my broom and hat. Take care, going home. The fog sadly had not let up while I had been visiting Alice. In fact, if anything, it had gotten worse. I wonder what I should do about it. Yeah, I already talked to Koichi now. Let's just blast shit. The larger the size of a magical explosion, the more problems it can solve, and this weather was a problem. I raised my hawk roll to the heavens, spent a minute concentrating, then let loose. I actually did manage to blast a hole in the clouds. I'm awesome. Sadly, it started raining harder a few seconds afterwards, as the clouds moved to fill the hole. I was forced to retreat home. Once I made it inside, I tried to get down my observations. Obviously, I confirmed that massive amounts of heat could clear out clouds. That I guessed before. The more interesting thing was that weather seemed to affect my spark's power slightly. Not much, but enough to matter in a close fight. I noticed that last summer, but I assumed it was the sort of Hiso messing with things. I know I draw a lot of power from outside my body. Perhaps weather is related to the Earth Chi's flow. Million might actually know about this. I scratched together a few more theories before finishing off the day.